the quilting book, other useful tools. Now, I just have a handful of these with me, and I've actually added a couple in that the book doesn't mention. The first one we've discussed very briefly are Hera markers. These in particular I like to use when I don't want to use a marking pen, and I often use them to mark quilting lines on my project instead of using a marking pen. They put a really nice crease into your project with just a little bit of friction. I'm going to show you guys on just a standard piece of quilting cotton. So we've got a nice marked line right in that quilting cotton, and of course we're going to either quilt over that or it will come out in the wash. The fibers will shrink themselves back up. So having a Hera marker on hand is great. You'll also want a variety of marking tools. Now, I always include a Sharpie in this. I use my Sharpie for all manner of things, including marking on my rulers, because with my rulers in particular, you can just use an alcohol wipe and your little guideline mark will vanish. So I include a Sharpie in there, but some kind of white chalk-like marking tool. Frixion heat erasable pens are great. This happens to be the felt tip style. Now, you do have to be careful with these, as the ink truly is not getting completely erased. So sometimes there can be a little echo there, and it doesn't always wash out 100%. So careful with those. This one is what looks like a very standard ballpoint pen, but actually has a specialty heat erase ink in it, just like the Frixion. So I like that one as well. And then this is a different style iron marker from Bowen, a French company. Same thing. It does not completely erase, so we want to use these sparingly. Now, I showed you this chalk pen, but there are a variety of different chalk pens. My cautionary tale with the chalk pens is, for whatever reason, yellow and blue do not like to come out of basically anything. So if you're gonna buy a chalk pen, I would go white, but if you need to mark on white fabric or lighter fabrics, I would go for the pink chalk that you often find, or even an off-white. Just in the end, you'll be much happier with the result. Some kind of marking tape. This happens to be highlighter tape. I like it because it is see-through, and when I use it to mark my rulers, if I need to go squinch to one side or the other, it's not like a washi tape that you won't be able to see through. But washi tape is a great alternative. You'll also want to have some masking tape on hand. That comes really in handy when we're basting our quilts and for marking quilting lines. So have a roll of masking tape on hand. Clips are one of my essentials as well, and we'll talk more about clips and pins and all the different tools to hold your piecing together before it's actually sewn. But quilt clips of some kind are always an essential for me. I also like magnets. These happen to be sew tights. They have a back and a front, and they magnetize together. I use these for my English paper piecing to hold my pieces together before I stitch them. They also can be very handy for bag making or even using in place of clips. So having some magnets on hand, great to have. A glue pen is also what I consider an essential tool. It's called English paper piece. I do English paper piecing a lot, and I like to glue based. Now, there are many different types of glue. There's Sew Line, there's Sue Daily. They all have about the same consistency as a school glue stick, and that's perfectly acceptable as well. You'll also find many creators now are using glue pens or a glue tip to glue their seams and ensure proper piecing. Very handy to have, and that's something we'll discuss more when we talk about pins and clips and all those good things. Another thing that I consider an essential, because I do a lot of raw edge applique, are some type of applique scissors. This happens to be a set from Somo. They come all three as a set or separately. But I like them because they have nice squishy grips on them, so they're easy on my hands, and they're incredibly sharp. They clip right to that point. So in particular, when you're doing applique, it's really nice to be able to get right into those tiny little points, especially if it's like a leaf. You want to be able to get right into those little notches and things. So I consider them an essential tool. We are going to have an entire video about different types of basting, but one of my favorite types of basting is spray basting. This is 505. There is also quilt basting spray, but I've been using this for a very long time for both my basting and in machine embroidery. I find that it works very well. It doesn't have as strong an odor as others, and it has just the right level of stick. So I really like the 505, and that's what's recommended in the book on page 23 as well. Now, other handy tools that you might want to have. I'm going to mention this last one, and then I'm going to talk about a couple that are in the book that I don't happen to have with me at the moment. These are quilting gloves, and they are very similar to a gardening glove in that they have little rubber sticky tips on them. And when we are free motion quilting, they will help us a lot in guiding the fabric. Now, other tools that the book mentions that I don't use all that often or that I have tucked away somewhere. A hole punch, excellent for English paper piecing. A paper punch if you don't want to hand cut your English paper piecing templates or you don't buy them already cut. Of course, English paper piecing templates, and an acrylic English paper piecing template plastic. It's acrylic, it's plastic, that helps you fussy cut fabrics. They also mention color catchers, which I think is a great tool to mention. Very often, we don't even think about it. We throw something in the wash and, oh my gosh, now our white is pink or our red is now bleached out to a pink. The color catchers are going to help aid in making sure that there's no bleed of your fabrics. If you're buying high quality fabrics, the chance of them bleeding is slim, but it's not zero. So I always hazard on the side of caution, and I will either pre-wash or throw in a color catcher with blacks, hot pinks, reds, sometimes even deep greens or navies, just to be on the safe side. So that is other useful tools. In our next video, we are going to discuss threads, all the different types, all the different weights. I'll see you there.